Welcome back. It's Kelly and Company. Sharon, Caddy, Kelly MacDonald, your hosts. We're here every day from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're always here having lots of fun. Be sure to check out our first repeat. If by chance you miss any of the show, that happens at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Toronto Mayor John Tory has declared April 8th Toastmasters International Day. I think a good thing, Sharon. We've talked about Toastmasters on the program.
Well, we have. Ashley Namath, one of our contributors from Saskatchewan, is big in Toastmasters.
Definitely. Paul Daniel, who works here, is as well. Vera Johnson is on the board of Toastmasters International as the International Director of Region 6, and she's visiting Toronto this week from her home in Michigan. She stopped in to visit with us here in studio with Stephen Reingold. First of all, Vera, welcome to the Vera. Thank you, Vera. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much for having me here.
Oh, it's our pleasure, and welcome to Stephen as well.
Thank you very much as well for having me here.
Stephen, we had bumped into at the expo. He was one of the people that was at the expo in February, the White Cane Week event. Did you have a good time there?
I had a great time.
Yeah, so did we.
So much to experience. Most of us know a little bit about Toastmasters, but at least a little bit. Tell us a little bit more, Vera, about Toastmasters.
Toastmasters is a leading organization in communication and leadership development, but most importantly, what it's done is it's focusing on the individual members who would like to improve themselves and who would like in a self-paced manner to develop themselves, whether on a leadership basis or whether on a communication basis or just because they just want to get involved for personal reasons.
Yeah. And so the people that do come, because, every time we bring up this topic or if I've ever talked to someone, it always stirs up in someone else, I'd like to do that. But for people to get past that saying, I'd like to do that and going, who are the people that come out and what are some of their motivations?
The people that come out are the ones, and they come from a whole group of different areas. People come out for if they've had some kind of need where they want some kind of positive, uplifting experience. That was my reason for joining Toastmasters. And then there's others people that from a professional standpoint, they want to improve certain skill sets. So they join for those reasons. Some people join for social reasons. Other people join for reasons to be able to learn how to master the articulation that they have in terms of how they speak, how they articulate themselves, how they develop themselves.
Right.
All right. So, Stephen, how about for you? What was your reason?
I think the reason I joined is I reached out to someone I used to work with. I had no idea that she was part of Toastmasters until I reached out with her, and we were just chatting about trying to communicate about technical subjects with a non-technical audience and being able to customize or tailor that voice so you don't lose people in the translation.
Yes.
So I reached out to her because she'd done some training in Toastmasters Club. I don't know if you know Julie, but
I know
really
who you mean.
good.
Yes, I think I know.
I do too.
Yes.
Last name starts with a B.
I'm pretty sure I know exactly who.
Yeah, she actually, I think, was one of the founding members of the 777 Toastmasters Club, of which I belong. And so I'd reached out to her for some advice on, again, tailoring the message for a non-technical audience. And she provided me with a manual, one of the advanced manuals, which I'm actually almost completed now, but this is about 8 years later now. It's called Communicating Technically.
Wow.
And so she had shared that with me, and I thought, this is interesting. So I decided at that point, I asked her about, so tell me about Toastmasters. She told me about, of course, the building I work in at 777 Bay Street in Toronto has a Toastmasters club called 777 Toastmasters Club, appropriately. And I decided to join. I was really curious to see how it can help, again, with just overall communication skills and also just being able to talk to, like I said, a non-technical audience.
And the rest, as they say, is history, right?
The rest is history, yeah.
Now, Vera, I'm curious because now as an international director, looking back to right at the beginning, what got you in?
9/11.
Really?
I was at the World Trade Center on floor 56 and went through that whole experience. And one of my mentors had encouraged me to think about Toastmasters before this all happened. Well, afterwards, that was the catalyst that triggered me. And that was because I needed an environment that was positive, uplifting, let me work at my own pace, and let me move forward. So when I joined in with the idea of surrounding myself with fun, positive, uplifting people that could help me learn and help me get better in terms of my own communication and leadership skills. And then the rest is history. I just kept growing through the organization.
Yeah, it looks like it worked.
It did.
Do you remember your first speech there?
Yes.
Oh, my.
My first speech was 3 years into it, and it was my icebreaker speech. And my icebreaker speech is basically a 4 to 6 minute speech. And what they do is to help break the ice in terms of public speaking. What they do is they have you do a speech about yourself and your life story or anything that you want to talk about, your experiences within your own personal environment, something that you know about.
Wow, that's incredible. So, and either of you can touch on this one. I'm kind of curious. It seems like people's reasons obviously are varying, but it also seems tremendously personal. Whatever their reason for joining is really, it becomes from somewhere, whether it's something from youth, some shyness, some, need to, because they enjoy spit, whatever. But it does seem to be a little more personal than a lot of other things people pick up. Do you agree, Stephen?
Well, I would definitely agree. There's people in my club who come for social reasons, but I think primarily it's just out of the fear of public speaking. I think that's the number one motivation for joining. It's just the fear of standing up, and of course, the number two reason is I find, at least in my club, is just to know how to say things.
Yeah.
And also there's an aspect of Toastmasters clubs maybe people don't know about is first of all, there's prepared speeches every week. In my club, at least, we meet for an hour a week, and it's we usually have 2 prepared speeches a week. So two members deliver a formal speech, prepared speech, and then we also have the impromptu speaking segment called Table Topics. And so I think a lot of people join for the opportunity to practice impromptu speaking or ability to speak on their feet, because a lot of us are called on by our managers or supervisors or peers to give an impromptu presentation or a status update or what have you.
Very true. But also in a social situation, there's nothing worse sometimes than if you're uncomfortable and you're in the middle of a circle of people and you feel like you want to say something but you're not sure how. And that would really give you that skill.
That's true. And I also want to add that when people join Toastmasters, a lot of times they join Toastmasters with the idea of what's in it for me. And we all know that, and that's what we are trying to address. We want to address all the different personality types and all the different skill sets that people may be looking to develop, or even the social needs. So when someone joins Toastmasters, we're fully aware in the club level that it's what's in it for them and how can we help them as club leaders, how can we help them fulfill their own needs? Later on in the transformation, sometimes once they've benefited from it, and in many cases many benefit, then all of a sudden it turns around and now you want to serve someone else. And now all of a sudden you've transformed and it goes, how can I help somebody else get to the next level? How can I help mentor somebody? How can I take the next step and help them grow to whatever potential that they can grow to?
Well, that must feel good on a whole other level.
Oh, yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
So you have some letters after your name when it comes to within Toastmasters. BTM, what does that mean within the group?
DTM, that's a distinguished Toastmaster, and that is from an educational standpoint. When you start going and working the program, it's basically a laboratory of programs. You've got a series of manuals, and the first set is the Competent Communicator. Then you've got the advanced manuals, and you've got 3 sets of advanced manuals. And you've got some leadership aspects that you have to go through and fulfill some leadership responsibilities. And when you've done all of that, you have achieved your distinguished Toastmasters level, and that's the highest level that you can get to from an educational standpoint.
Awesome.
Now, Stephen, you mentioned manuals. So where are you in the scheme of this now?
So I have completed the first manual, the Competent Communicator Manual. So I'm now a CC. So I have the CC after my name. And also completed the first leadership manual. It's called the CL, or Competent Leadership Manual, or Competent Leader Manual. So I now have a CL certificate. So now after my name, I have CC and CL.
That's cool.
And I'm now 2 speeches away from completing the next hurdle, the Competent Communicator Bronze.
Wow.
And
I love that.
That's neat. I like the goals. That's tremendous. So what brings you to town this week, Vera?
Well, we're in Toronto's in an area called District 60, which is the Toastmaster area. And what they're doing is they're having their spring annual conference. So what they did was they invited me to come out and visit them for their spring annual conference, which will be taking place April 8th and 9th.
Awesome.
At the Holiday Inn.
Is there a lot of people expected? Is Toronto a very active city for Toastmasters?
Very active. Toronto and this Toronto area is one of the strongest areas in the region that I'm responsible for. Very strong and very, very motivated area. And I love being considered an honorary Canadian.
Well, you certainly are.
That's awesome.
We hear about Toastmasters here at AMI because one of our colleagues, Paul Daniel, is approaching 35 years as a member of his Toastmasters Club in Mississauga. Now, his club offers members the option of receiving materials in Braille or audio form. Is that something that you see in different clubs? Is it up to individual clubs to organize it?
It's up to individual clubs to organize it, but it's across the entire nation. And they've got, especially the audio materials are in the advanced manuals as well as in the competent communicator manuals, which are the basic beginning manuals, the leadership manuals. So it's all across the board.
That's great.
Yes.
How about other languages?
Absolutely. We've got it in Mandarin, in French, in English, in Spanish, German, number of different languages.
Wow. That's really awesome. So, I mean, the organization began more as a speaking club, but with that emphasis as taking on some mentoring and so on, leadership has really evolved to be something, a part of it. How come it was important to add that element?
Because when you're developing communicators and you have a club level and then you have the district structure, et cetera, those are leaders evolving. And as the club members are growing, when they step into the next level, whether they're organizing a club meeting, they're all of a sudden taking on a leadership opportunity. And then when they get to the next level, when they're managing 4 or 5 different clubs, that's another leadership level. So on both sides, whether it's communication or leadership, they're both equally important in terms of the development. Some people want to do the communication track, but others, in my case, I personally like the leadership track. So that was the section that I kept on focusing on. I worked on the communication to better my speaking skills, but my real love, my real passion was the leadership development.
Now, I'm curious, the ages of people that come to Toastmasters, because I would think this would be such an amazing thing for students to start to get involved with, they, especially in post-secondary, as you're getting out in the world and approaching those first career goal jobs. I would think that would be great, but who comes?
It's a myriad of all different sorts of people. So there can be younger people or the students that are coming in. And I was just telling a story to someone earlier today, and I was saying how it was a university student that was graduating, and he was working with me to help build a club in Union Gas, which is one of our Canadian companies. And he was working with me to build the club, and then all of a sudden met the regional manager. And from that, he ended up getting a job because the Union Gas person liked him so much, he ended up becoming an employee of Union Gas.
Wow. So what would you guys, either you quickly tell us, what would you say to encourage someone to join, and also tell us how to do it? I'll start with you, Vera.
The first thing I would say is take the chance. It's the most wonderful opportunity. You'll never regret. You'll start, and once you get into it, you'll absolutely love it. The best way to join is we have a Toastmasters website called toastmasters.org, and it says find a club. And you look for a club. You punch in the area that you live in, and then a group of clubs will pop up, whether it's based on date that's convenient for you, location, and that's the best place to start. And you pick up the phone, that's whatever's on the website, and start calling from there.
Stephen, why should someone join?
I think just to improve your communication skills, and also if you're interested in learning about or becoming a better leader, it's a great opportunity. I could just speak for myself. I've served in many different roles. I actually started at the top. I think in my second or third year, someone nominated me to be president. And I figured, well, someone else will probably be nominated, and I probably won't have to worry about that for a few years, but nobody else ran. And it was really like managing an organization, even though it's a small, 25, 30 members. But it's a lot of responsibility, and I really learned a lot from it because you have to learn how to manage people, learn how to set a schedule, or set an agenda, how to reach your goals and things like that.
Beautiful
But I've also
stuff.
been currently VP of public relations for my club. But I've also been VP of education.
So it's an opportunity to wear many hats. That sounds really tremendous. Stephen Reingold, thank you very much. Also, Vera Johnson, who is the International Director of Region 6 of Toastmasters International. Both of them joining us here in studio. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Coming
it was a
up
pleasure.
next, we're going to do some laughing with laughter yoga. That's straight ahead here on Kelly and Company.